Hi, my name is Dan Dowdy, business coach here with Built for the Trades. And today I am so excited to have my good friend Stephen Christopher on to share really some topics on mindset coaching that he does for a living. But he's also the owner of Wit Digital, an amazing internet marketing company. And he's doing mindset coaching for many different leaders out there. And today we hope to just give you a few different things to think about to really take in your mindset from the fear zone through all the way to the growth zone and just give you some tools to take away. So without any further ado, Stephen, take it away. Share some more information about yourself.
Awesome, man. Dan, thanks for doing this today, right? Like this is this is my favorite thing to talk about, even though I love the digital marketing side and helping home service companies grow and things like that. That's really fun. But man, when you get into like mindset and creation, I love this stuff. And I've been studying this for, I don't know, 20 years almost. Started back with like Jack Canfield and Bob Proctor and Abraham and Esther Hicks, and even getting into like the law of attraction type stuff. It's just been really fun and really interesting for me to run across concepts that say, okay, based on how we choose to think is what we actually get as an outcome. And having just learned as much as I could about this over the last 20 years and then implementing it. And sometimes I do well at it and sometimes I completely botch it. And, and I see, laws of creation working in an opposite way that I truly desire them, but I'm still the one that, that created that outcome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I really love that concept, and you're sharing so many great videos on your social media platforms. Which, if you haven't seen them yet, you need to check it out. But when you talk about that whole concept of what we're doing now is producing what's happening in the future, what are you seeing right now with people that are living in that fear zone? Some things that they're doing that's kind of keeping them in that fear zone right now.
I mean, the biggest thing is, what are your dominating thoughts? So think about this as an interesting concept. So when we finish our day and we go to bed at night, our brain kind of like resets, like almost like turning off a computer, right? Like we have some subconscious things that continue to play in the operating system. But a fun game to play is when you wake up in the morning, when you watch how we start our day. So most of us, we grab our phone, we look at Facebook, we open our email, we fall into the same routines. We get up, we go to the bathroom, we drink the same, we drink coffee out of the same mug, we do whatever our routines are, right? And then we check social media and we kind of see, okay, like, I'm Dan. Here's what I'm doing now. Here's my friends. And you start to create that, or you start to get into that familiar, okay, like I'm Dan. I know who I am now because I've gotten all of these like little external pieces fed in. Well, what if we didn't do any of that stuff? What if when we woke up in the morning, we woke up and we said, all right, it's a new day. I choose not to carry a lot of these fearful things, these fearful thoughts over into today. And I'm going to choose to live basically by a slightly different design today and a slightly different thought process. And I'm going to choose to create from that. So when people continue to live in this fearful mindset, it's because every day when we wake up, we go and we look at all of those same things that kind of create a lot of that fear, as opposed to creating what we want. So let's say right now, let's say you own a restaurant, right? Restaurants are really tough right now. Well, when you wake up every morning and you kind of look at that, like, okay, well, the government shut down restaurants except for takeout and carry out and stuff like that. So I have no option except to do whatever little bit I can within that construct or that rule that somebody else gave me. That doesn't give you a whole lot of creative thinking, and it doesn't give you a whole lot of excitement about the day. But think about how many restaurants right now are actually doing creative, great things. Yeah, maybe they're not making a ton of money. Maybe they are still struggling a lot, but they're out there figuring out how to help solve the problem, how to be excited, how to contribute. those are the ones that are going to come out of this on the other side in a much different place, that have helped a ton of people. Now they get recognition. Now when people start going to restaurants again, they're going to be flooded with all kinds of new customers. And it's because they chose to think differently and not just think within this little box that they were given by somebody else.
Yeah, it's so good. I'm always just amazed to think about that one little mindset switch that you change there leads to being a great leader too. You think about leadership is easy when things are easy, right? When the money's flowing in and things are good, leadership is easy. But when you are narrowed down to a specific to some constraints, like you talked about, I mean, it's the same way in the trades, right? Whether or not we're an essential business and running, there's a lot of things that are changing. And so I like that. So when people start to think about changing that mindset from fear and growing out of that, is that something that if they already have a normal routine they're going through every morning, is that something that you recommend, that it's just like, hey, change one thing? Or should they just completely dive in and change multiple different things at once?
Depends on how much you can handle. I mean, if you're one of those people that dive into the deep end, great, shake up everything. Like, from don't put your phone next to your bed, get up a little bit earlier, get up a little bit later, work out first in the morning. If normally you work out in the afternoon, like just shake up a couple things so that now you're not going down that same pattern. And even if you go back to the same pattern that you had before because that routine worked for you, that's okay. But the goal is to just shake up. Who you thought you were yesterday is not who you have to choose to be today. And
Good.
when you get rid of a lot of those thoughts, or at least you become aware of them, now you can start to choose a little bit differently. And some of it is you just have to choose to believe that there are options available. And I mean, right now, like, back to your question about what are we seeing about people that are stuck in that fear-based mindset, they believe that they don't have any options. And as long as you believe that you don't have options, then you're not telling your brain to look for creative opportunities. So you're going to be stuck in the same thing every single day. I mean, look, I can't think of a time when, as a world, we've ever gone through something so similar across the entire globe. So everybody's faced with the same problems. So there's none of this like, oh, well, they have that opportunity and they have that opportunity, or they're, in a better business or more money or whatever, right? Like, we're all faced with this same thing. So now is like one of the best times in the entire world to take a step back and say, you know what? I'm going to work on my mindset right now, and I'm going to become the best version of myself so that I can come out of this better than I went in. Because there's very few things you can point to right now that are just affecting you. It's affecting everybody the same. We're all in the same boat.
That is true. Yeah, and whenever you think about it like that, it takes away some of that pressure and anxiety and realizing that that is the case. Now, one thing I've done with a friend of mine is I actually leaned on an accountability partner for me, because in my own mindset, I knew that I needed to get back to working out. I needed to go to bed earlier, get up and get really focused for the day. And so is that something that you recommend, is people watching thinking, well, I can change my mindset, but I may go back there, or accountability partners or coaching groups or masterminds? Like, what do you recommend in that realm that people
Yeah, I
lean
mean,
on?
all the rules are out the window, right? So having somebody that can be your accountability partner, work with you, give you feedback, call you out when, if you call him and start kind of talking down this negative path, you want to have an accountability partner that's going to say, wait, Dan, hold on. Do you hear the words that you're using? Like, you keep saying, try, I should do this. Oh, I don't have time to do this. I can't do this. You've got to have somebody that's willing to, in a positive way, call you out on those things, and vice versa. But yeah, I think accountability partners are great. I mean, even within our company right now at WIT, everybody's working from home and has been for, I think, like 4 weeks now. I mean, some of them are on week 5. And so one of the things that's really important, like you mentioned, is physical activity. we've got to keep moving. Now we're not walking to our car, driving to the office, walking around, we're just not out and about as much. So we've got to have physical movement. And what our team has done is we have like 3 or 4 competitions going. I just started running at around 11:30 every day. I'm doing like a 15 or 20-minute body weight workout, and we all jump on Zoom and I lead this little workout, and it's
Oh, nice.
fantastic. And so, point again being is, yeah, accountability partners are great. I have one, you mentioned a lot of the content that I'm posting. I have 2 accountability partners where we text each other every day when we post our little piece of content. And what that does for me is it helps me get out of my own way, where I might think, oh, who wants to see this video on mindset, or who wants to see this video on, for WIT, on Google local service ads and what's happening. Like, I know that that's valuable information, but we get wrapped up in our head. And so having that accountability partner is huge. I absolutely love the idea. And I love that you're doing that. Um, then you could even start talking about, how do you build in your morning routine? If you need to build in a morning routine, like physical fitness, eating healthy, meditation, prayer, whatever those things are, have an accountability partner for that as well. And it makes it more fun, right? You're not doing it alone.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. And I'm spending more time getting up, and there's more time in my morning before the family gets up now than ever, because it's getting my mindset ready for the day and getting it really going. It's funny when you talk about thinking about your own value and how you can give back. Right now, we're doing it through the through the Zoom Facebook Live, but you're doing it through some videos that you're sharing. I personally can't tell you how many videos I've shot in my office that have never reached social media, because I've been my own biggest critic, right? And I think a lot of business owners out there want to connect with your audience, but are probably the same way. And I've been shooting video for a lot of years, and I still do that. So I like that advice of maybe finding somebody who's also doing it, that can encourage you. Hey, somebody needs to hear this. At the end of the day, we all have value to add. So now when we're talking about value to add, and we're talking about mindset, as far as having a confident, positive mindset, when people find themselves going on that road of negativity, what's one thing that can be affirming to them to build up the courage to move forward with whatever idea they have, and shift from that negative mindset to that positive mindset? Is there any kind of tools people can apply when they find themselves going down that road of negativity?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple, because we all go there, right? I'm sure you've gone down that road too, where sometimes we just feel like we can't get out of it, or like your mind is just spinning and spiraling so deep that before you know it, like, you're a complete failure. I'm not worthy of anything. Like, everybody's going to find out that I don't actually know anything about what I'm talking about. And then before I know it, I'm like homeless, living under a bridge. So our mind like can spiral really quick with that kind of stuff. So the first thing is just become aware of those thoughts that you're thinking, right? Just take a step back and be like, okay, wait a minute. Like, what are the actual thoughts going on in my mind right now? And when you become aware of them, you can start to question those thoughts. So one of the questions that I like is this really true? So when I start going down those spiral paths of, oh my gosh, like, I- I'm I'm not a good business owner. I'm not a good leader. My content sucks. Who's going to want to watch it? I asked the question, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, wait, like, is that really true? Like, do I have any factual evidence to prove that that's true? And oftentimes the answer is no. And you kind of start to like laugh at yourself a little bit. And that's super helpful. The other thing is to have a go-to phrase. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it an affirmation, an incantation, you can call it an intention, and it should be relatively powerful, but relatively simple. So something like, uh, um, I am a great business owner, and multiple people have told me that in the last 12 months. So, pick something that's just really simple, that's backed by some fact, and have that as like a go-to. So you have it written down. So when you start spiraling like that, if you can't quite get yourself to change your thoughts, read that thing and read it out loud. Go sit in your truck in the back of the parking lot like a crazy person, or like walk out in your garage, um,
Yeah.
put some energy behind it and read it out loud. And there's a big shift that happens when you do that. And you start to just kind of laugh. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I really thought that I was a complete idiot and I have no idea what I'm doing in business. And it's just kind of like resets, but having that go to in that moment is sometimes helpful. And I'll say this too, this is something I've coached a lot of people on lately, is there's these different levels of emotion, right? So like you kind of go from like depression to anger to frustration to neutral to good to optimistic to excited. Well, you can't really get somebody to go from like depressed or angry to excited. That's where, if you come running into your office and everybody's frustrated and scared and you're like Mr. Positivity, super excited, people are like, oh my gosh, like, dude, shut up. Like, you're like, just change your thoughts, like think better, like say this affirmation. People are like, dude, I'm gonna freaking kill you. So if you really go far down the path and like you or somebody you're coaching is in that like depression state, just try to get them to angry or frustration and move them up that scale quickly to where you can kind of get them to like neutral, or at least things are good. Then you can start to add in the whole like, okay, you have choice in your thoughts. You're choosing to think that negative thought. You can choose to replace it with a different one. But if you do that, when somebody's deep, deep down, they're just going to be like, it's almost going to make them worse.
Mm.
So pay attention to
Fascinating.
where people are on the scale. Like if somebody's kind of depressed, get them angry. Be like, dude, what's really pissing you off right now about whatever the government's doing or whatever health officials are doing or whatever that is, right? Like get them angry about it. And then they'll kind of move up that scale a little bit. So just pay attention to kind of where people are. You can't come flying in with, Mr. Positivity when somebody's so far on the other side.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I can see that you're kind of breaking down that wall a little bit at a time. And if you just try to go right at it, they're just going to put their wall up and say, hey, dude, get a life, pretty much. So
Yeah.
that's awesome, because that really takes you, like earlier we talked about the fear zone, and now we're more in that learning zone of identifying your emotions. But as we talk about the growth zone and stepping into that, one thing I think about is living in the moment or living in the present and focusing on the future. So once people are shifted out of that, maybe they're to a place in their business now, 2 months into this COVID-19 deal that we're dealing with. And maybe they're finding themselves kind of like stuck, like, what do I do next? Or maybe they find themselves living in the past, saying, wow, man, I wish a month ago I would have done this and maybe shifted this. So for people out there watching this that are in that moment or doing that right now, kind of living in the past, what do you recommend they do to stay present and start looking for the future?
I mean, one of the things that I like is having an intention, right? And that intention is something that I set every day, and it's something that I've set specifically for this series of events, because we don't know how long this whole coronavirus thing is going to last. It could be done in 2 weeks magically, or it could last for a year or 6 months. Like we just don't quite know exactly what's going to happen. And um but having an intention, right? And my intention is that I will come out of this stronger and better than I went in. And I like general intentions like that because since there's so many unknowns, it would be challenging for me to say, hey, I'm going to come out of this on the other side with 50 additional clients and X amount of dollars in new revenue and adding 5 new team members and 3 new coaching clients, like kind of how we've been used to thinking sometimes about goals. But that's very challenging right now because there's so many unknowns. And with all those unknowns, there's also a lot of opportunity that we don't know what that opportunity is going to look like when it shows up. So we want to be open to all of those different things, but yet still have an intention that we're making decisions through every single day. So that intention for me pulls me through when I start to think about the past or maybe a decision that I made 3 weeks ago. Like I've talked to some companies, even like some home service companies, where they can't decide like how much of our team should work remote? Should we bring them back into the office? Should we have a leadership meeting? Should we do it in person? How do we do that? And they're going back and forth, and it's creating conflict, or, within the business. And then they're going forward and they're looking back and beating themselves up because they either shut the office down too early or not early enough or whatever. So, but for me, having that general intention is, it helps pull me back into the present moment and see, what can I impact now? What are my opportunities, so that I can come out of this stronger and better whenever it's done than I came into it. And that kind of pulls me into the present moment, where, as you know very well, the present moment is the only place where you can actually impact anything. So it's really the only place you want your mind focused and working a majority of the time.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, that's so good. It's giving people permission to really set their intention, but not have to be so detailed about it. And that's really a great point. Now, before we close this discussion today, this has been so good, and we can go on forever, but we want to keep it to a certain time frame. You posted a great video on working from home, and I know that can add some value to a lot of people out there. It was a 17-minute video, so I'm going to ask you to wrap this up into some key points that people can take away now that they're living in their growth zone, but they are working from home. I've had a lot of clients who are really struggling with getting focused at home. So can you give us or give some people watching some key points to maximize their time working at home?
Yeah. For our team at WIT, and even me, the ones that are the most successful are the ones that have a pretty regimented schedule. And that means things like waking up at a certain time, getting in your morning routine. So make sure that you have some form of a morning routine. My recommendation is move. So some sort of physical fitness, even if that's like, some days I just walk down to the end of my street very quickly and walk back. It's 5 to 7, maybe 10 minutes, but I'm physically getting moving. I'm getting my blood flowing. I'm changing my environment, and I'm getting that movement started for the day. I highly recommend meditation. Some of the companies that are surviving the most right now, like there was a study, and I'm going to probably botch it, but anyway, the most successful companies that have been successful during this time from Thailand all gave the number one thing that helped them become or remain and be successful right now is meditation. So meditation is huge. I mean, meditation quiets your mind, and it allows you to take back control a little bit, so we're not, again, going back to like how a lot of us wake up and we replay all of these stories from yesterday, and we're kind of building up our personality for the day. Well, meditation helps kind of quiet that and lets those things fall off, so that now we can choose what we desire for today, and we can be more aligned with, being a creator of the day than just kind of living in it. So having some form of a morning routine, make sure you're eating healthy. Like, a lot of us aren't moving as much as we were before, so we're not burning as many calories. We're sitting down a lot more, and eating healthy food is a really big piece. And so these little things that we've always known are kind of getting magnified as far as a level of importance. So make sure you have some sort of a morning routine. When you're working at home, have a space that's dedicated for work. This is super, super important. So if you have a home office, that's your office. Keep all of your work stuff in there. Don't have your computer out on the kitchen table and the couch and the bed and the kitchen island or whatever. Keep a separate space for your office. And what it does is it allows you to create separation, because if you work from everywhere in your home, then before you know it, you're working every night until 8 or 9 or 10, sitting on the couch with your family. And what's happening is you're never getting any true time to rejuvenate and recover. So you're basically just working all the time, right? And we've all fallen into it. I'm sure you've accidentally been sitting there on the couch or whatever, and the kids are like, "You've been on your phone the whole time. Like, what are you doing?" And you almost don't even realize it, right?
Yeah, I know.
So create that separation. And at the end of the workday, have a time at which you desire or that you're going to be done. Call it 5 o'clock, whatever it is. At 5 o'clock, be done. Shut your computer. Actually, go back one step. At the end of the day, go through the little things, the little softwares, the programs, whatever it is that generally keep you up at night. So if at the end of the day, when you're sitting at dinner, about to go to bed, and you think, okay, oh my gosh, like I didn't get to this on my to-do list, I should probably check my email. Maybe I should check Facebook, whatever those things are that kind of keep you up at night, make a list of them. It's not many, maybe 3 or 4 or 5. And at the very end of the day, go through and check all of those platforms. Make sure you didn't miss anything. This kind of lets your brain say, all right, like I don't have to worry about any urgent emails in there. Like I checked, everything is good. And then plan your day for tomorrow. Plan your day, top 3 to 5 things that are like your biggest priorities, that if you get those accomplished, or even most of them accomplished, you've had a successful day. Then once you've planned your day, sit it like sticky note, to-do list, whatever, next to your computer, close your computer, create some separation. Now go do family time, eat, walk, whatever it is that you do. You can always come back to work later in the night if you want, but create that routine and stick to it. Shut down, create your plan for tomorrow. And then now when you start your workday tomorrow, you already kind of know what it is that is very important to do. Those are huge things. And then just make sure you're getting up during the day. Make sure you get up, and like we're doing at WIT, 15, 20-minute little midday body weight workout. Make sure you're going for a walk. Make sure you're breathing fresh air. Don't get caught just sitting at the computer for 8 hours.
Yeah, that's true. And other thing I think about too, but I have this routine that's set and communicated to your family, is your wife and kids now know that, hey, this is my workspace, this is my work time, and this is my family time. And I encourage everybody watching out there, it's like now is the best time to really slow down and connect with your family.
Yeah.
And one thing I've been doing is taking my kids on a walk during lunch, around the neighborhood, and just getting some fresh air, kind of breaking my day up a little bit. But it's really helped the whole family. So that's great advice, Stephen. I really, really appreciate that. So everybody watching out there, I'm sure they're curious how they can follow you on your social media platforms. Can you share more about what you're doing on those?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the videos. So I'm doing some videos called the download of the day, which is basically just, when you have that really good idea that comes to you, especially like as a coach, and you're just like, wow, that's really good. I should share that.
Yeah.
So basically, that's a download from all the information that's available to us in the universe. And so just all day we get those great ideas. So I just started writing them down and then shoot little videos. And so that's a video series that I'm doing called Download of the Day. I share it generally like Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So, I mean, you can find me on social media. It's pretty easy. I think if you type in Stephen Christopher, pretty sure I'm the first one or pretty close. And I mean, as far as WIT goes, WIT is a digital marketing agency specific for home service. And that's just that is a passionate group of people about marketing for plumbers, HVAC, and electricians, and other home service companies too. But that the website for that is just witdelivers.com. And even if we can help anybody specifically in that space right now, it doesn't matter where it is. Like Dan, as I'm sure you're doing right now, like if anybody needs help with anything, like reach out. Doesn't matter what it is. Like we're all in this thing together. And it's been interesting. I've seen like people kind of split pretty consistently. People either kind of went down or people went way up. People are like ready to help. And so, reach out to those people that are ready to help. If you're not feeling so good, like now's the time that we're going to be able to make some really big changes in the world.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for being here, Stephen. As y'all know, you can find me at Built for the Trades on Facebook, Instagram, or at builtforthetrades.com. And I same thing for me. Anybody that needs help out there, needs anything, we're here to give. Thank you again, Stephen, for coming on today. Thank y'all for watching. Hope you have a great day.